Hey guys, welcome back to the Fergie Way with me, Teach FM. And as you know, we have just won the Premier League and the Europa League in our first season. If, of course, you've been watching. If not, click the link in the description, play catch up and all that good jazz. So today's episode, we are going to have a change of pace. There'll be no live comms. We are at the end of the season, as I say, so we're going to just have a look around, see how the Premier League ended up, see who's going down, see who's coming up, and take a look around Europe as well. And of course, we will catch up on any news that's happened in between. So as I say, just a quick mop up, if you like, see how the season went. And yeah, so we'll run the intro and I'll see you in a second. So guys, thanks for coming back to my channel and hopefully you've been enjoying it. If you have, do please hit the like button because as I say, this is the end of the first season now. And we are looking like we're going to press on with at least one more season and probably only one more season because I've got a couple more ideas of what I want to do on the channel. So where we're going to start is, of course, with the end of season awards held at Old Trafford. And as we can see on the screen here, it has given us our team of the season. And I'll read that out now. So we have De Gea in net, Luke Shaw at left back, Bailly and Smalling being the centre-back pairing with Darmian on the right-back. We have Fosu Mensah making it into the team of the season alongside Pogba and Herrera. Juan Mata as the attacking playmaker. And we have Zlatan and Martial as the two strikers. So, almost expected to some degree. And what we are going to do, we're going to go through the news now. I'll give you a quick run through before I carry on here. We're going to go through the news and then we will have a look at the Premier League, see what the ups and downs were. We'll also have a look at the Championship so we know who's coming up to join us in the league next season. We'll then go on to look at the Europa League. We'll have a quick look at the Champions League because, of course, we didn't feature in it, but we still want to know who's won. We'll have a look at how the players have been playing, etc. And then we'll have a quick glance around Europe. Not going to spend ages on the foreign leagues, but it's almost like a scouting perspective, I suppose. We want to see if there's any decent players, how well they've been playing. So we'll take a look at a few of the European leagues, the top ones. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll just have a quick look at our squad. Check out their average ratings and we'll maybe start to highlight some of the players who should be there, who shouldn't be there. And we'll also take a quick look at the loan players who were out last season, who've come back. And yeah, so we'll carry on here. Memphis Depay has got fans player of the season. Now, anyone who's been watching his series will know that he had an absolute screamer when he was brought up into the strike position. But didn't really feature in that many games throughout the season, really, if you think about it. He played very much a bit part. When we were playing a flat 4-4-2, he does feature a lot on the left. But then we did fall into this 4-3-1-2 system, which meant that Memphis' place on the wing was sort of at threat. And when we saw Rooney, he moved on to become the fourth striker, which is, I want four strikers when I'm playing two up front. And with United's attacking talent, I definitely want to play two up front. And then, of course, we have Martial, second in the player of the season ranks, which is unsurprising, really. The lad had a ripper. He scored so many goals. I think Martial has got a lot of thanking to do to Zlatan Ibrahimovic because when Zlatan's playing in that sort of complete forward role, sort of that link between attack from the midfield and the strike force, he's such a linchpin. Bouncing the ball onto Martial. Martial got so many goals, either directly from a Zlatan assist or from a Zlatan key pass to another player who then assisted Martial in the meantime. Goal of the season, Paul Pogba against Reading. So as we can see, it's Darmian. He's laid it to Pogba on the edge of the area. It's just a standing strike, really, left foot. I think we might have seen better goals in the season, but of course the fans are voting these awards, so we'll leave it at that. And although it's a bit of a con, Memphis also picking up Young Player of the Season. So as we go on to our season review, we can see, of course, we won the Premier League. We did win the Europa League, but we lost in the fifth round of the FA Cup to Arsenal, which was a little bit devastating for me personally because I do hold the FA Cup in high regard. Match of the season was a 5-0 win at West Brom, according to the fans, although I'm sure we had a couple more victories better than that. Moment to forget was, of course, in the closing stages of the season. Now, in fact, in our last Premier League game, sort of double-header live com, we did take an absolute thumping by Arsenal. They won 4-2, thoroughly deserved. Average attendance at 75,635, which is, of course, 100% full at Old Trafford. Lost in the EFL Cup in the third round to Sunderland, very early stages of the season. And we were the Community Shield winners. So the board came to me with a confidence review at the end of the season. As you can see, the board are very pleased with my overall leadership of the team. What's that, about 60% maybe? 67%. Very secure is the way it sits at the moment. The fans are very happy at the 4-0 win over Liverpool, and so they should be. And the major criticism coming from Schweinsteiger's departure. However, of course, I did want to hold on to Schweinsteiger, but it was a decision he'd made himself. And if I ever have a player coming to me saying they want to leave to get game time because I'm not providing enough, I'll never stand in the way. If they come to me saying they want to move to another club because they've heard a rumour, no chance. I'll make that decision, not them. But if they come to me saying it's about game time, there's not a right lot I can do to stand in their way. I will also mention that in the close season, I did have the likes of Eric Bailly, Chris Smalling and Daley Blind all come to me talking about contracts. I'll be honest, I just fobbed them all off. Yes, they've all won the Premier League and stuff, but they're not long signed deals. They had loads of years left. I'm not in the habit of just giving a player a contract because they come whinging to me. So they just got told, no, you've got a few years left. And I'll be the one who decides when they get a new contract and therefore more money. Also in the news there, as you can see, the shareholder dividends were paid out totaling $23.5 million based on the club's turnover last year of approximately $500 million. Good season money-wise, I think. Needless to say, because of that, we've done well in the financial fair play as we'd expect. Of course, we made 0 signings this season, so it's no surprise. And of course, we did the same in the Premier League fair play. In the commercial summary now, guys, as you can see, we've got 30 new deals equating £49 million per year. The financial services company was a 7-year deal worth £42 million. In sponsorship, we are up to £205 million a year. We have got £10 million almost in corporate and hospitality with £4 million from matchday retail. Broadcast revenues, of course, at a whopping £112 million a year, and competition prize money at £50 million. In regards to merchandise, the shirt sales went in order of these. Ibrahimovic with number 1, which was expected. Maybe a surprise inclusion of Memphis, getting second most shirt sales, and then Pogba with 3rd, Martial with 4th, and Juan Mata with 5th. I've always used this as very much an indication of who you sort of definitely want to be keeping in the squad. These 5 players can pretty much guarantee themselves a safe passage unless, of course, any ridiculous sized bids come in or, of course, any player's attitude changes and they've decided they no longer want to be at the club, and we treat that on a case-by-case basis. And in another bit of news, we did expect this. He's not got much game time. We did give him a bit of a send-off in the last Premier League game. Michael Carrick is intending to retire at the end of June. And yeah, I might look at bringing him in on the coaching side. He might not want to. He might have a bit of an issue with me because I've not been playing him that much this year. But we can only do what we can do. And in our last little bit of news, one thing that was definitely worth a mention, Young Player of the Month, Timothy Fosu-Mensah, of course. I've bled him into the team as much as I can. He's featured heavily in the second part of the season due to players wanting to leave in January due to not getting played enough. He wasn't one of them. And an average rating of 7.93 across his Premier League games. Bearing in mind, they weren't the best of Premier League games. A draw at Bournemouth, a draw at Chelsea, and of course a whooping by Arsenal. But nonetheless, it's got him as a Young Player of the Month with Martial coming in second. So on that note, guys, what we'll do is we'll go take a look at the Premier League, see how it ended, and see who's maybe coming up next year. So the Premier League ended like this. Top 4 going to, of course, ourselves, Arsenal, Manchester City and Tottenham, with Stoke, West Ham and Chelsea getting Europa League places. The drop brings little surprise really, with Middlesbrough and West Brom going down. Maybe the surprise inclusion being Everton, who were almost cursed on FM 17. I think there's been a lot of saves now that I've seen them go down in, including a lot of other series I've watched on YouTube, other YouTube content creators, seeing Everton go down every year, which I don't know why it is. I mean, they've got a good enough squad. I don't know how they don't manage to stay in the Premier League, but they have gone down. So we will just take a quick look at the Championship to see who's joining us in the Premier League next season. And as we can see here, automatic promotion spots went to Newcastle, who destroyed the Championship last year with 100 points, losing only 6 games out of their 46. They'll come up alongside Brighton and Aston Villa, making a return straight back up into the Premier League. A bit of yo-yo, a bit of money going on. They managed to get through in a playoff final, beating Barnsley 2-1. And probably one everybody wants to see. And once again, PSG, maybe not quite cutting it in Europe. You know, they've got to the final, they've done well, but Madrid, heavily experienced in the Champions League final, run out 2-0 winners in extra time, it must be added. So PSG held them off for at least 90 minutes. But one of the main reasons we're here is to just have a quick look at the player stats. So Vardy, carrying on his Premier League form, top goal scorer in the Premier League, of course, managing to get 9, but Aguero coming top with 10 goals. Lionel Messi did come top of the average ratings there, and Aguero coming second, and unsurprisingly so, Alexis Sanchez coming third, with Mahrez getting the most assists, with only 8 though, so not really anything worth mentioning. So I'll be honest, a little bit disappointed. I wanted to come into this screen, maybe see a few potential sort of maybe ins and outs, but there's not really that many surprises in the Champions League. One thing that was worth looking into as well, although we went out, was the FA Cup. Arsenal did beat Liverpool 2-1 after extra time in the final. Not really interested in the player stats down there, but certainly thought it'd be something you guys would want to see. So we're not going to go through every single one of the European competitions. We are, however, just going to have a quick look at the top leagues in Europe, quick scan over how the players did, and that'll be that. So we can see in La Liga, Real Madrid did run out winners. They managed to win the league by just 3 points from Barcelona. One little surprise here is that Luis Enrique got sacked right near the end of the season. Obviously, the Barcelona board were pissed off, really wanted him to win the league or what, I don't know. The job is still vacant. No one's managed to fill it in, but Madrid winning the league. So Griezmann did finish joint top goal scorer in La Liga, with Suarez finishing just one off, and Gerard Moreno equaling Griezmann at the top there. We have, of course, Messi, Neymar, Piqué with the top average ratings. Toni Kroos getting the most assists, and Pedro Leon, surprisingly maybe from Eibar, getting 12 assists. So pretty good all round. And top player of the match going to Aymeric Laporte. Probably won't be at Bilbao next year now. I'd imagine one of the big teams are going to come swooping in for him. Maybe even us, who knows. We'll take a quick look at Serie A now, and as we can see, as much has been the way over the last, 5-6 years, although, well, there we go, last 5-6 years on the side of the screen there, Juventus have once again ran away with Serie A. They were 7 points clear of the nearest rivals, being Napoli and Inter Milan. AC Milan managing to try and sort of forge themselves back up there, but yeah, as we expected, really, Juventus have won it. Gonzalo Higuain managing to get 24 goals. His strike partner, Dybala, managing to get 20. And then Zapata of Udinese finishing third with 18 goals. Interesting one here, guys, is AC Milan's young defender, Romagnoli, managing to get 9 player of the matches and finishing top of that. Certainly interesting, because I possibly will see in a minute when we review the squad, but I might be looking to replace a couple of my defenders. And then we'll head over quickly to the Bundesliga, guys, and as we can see, there is no changes there either. Bayern Munich being the dominating force in German football, managing to win the league by a whopping 17 points. Dortmund, as usual, being the closest team. Lewandowski ending top goal scorer with young Chicharito there, ending with 19 goals, just 3 away from Lewandowski this year, and Mario Gomez making up the top 3 on 18 goals. Average ratings going to Gladbach's Christiansen, that's an interesting one, with Lewandowski and David Alaba finishing up with the top 3 there, and Christiansen as well getting most player of the matches. So probably the last of the leagues we're going to look at, guys, would be Ligue 1 in France. Now, of course, PSG did make it to the Champions League final, so it comes as no surprise that they did win the league. Probably what is surprising is that they only managed to do it by 3 points. Monaco chasing them all the way to the end, but unfortunately looks like they must have slipped up, fell at the final hurdle. Probably comes down to one result where they played PSG, got beat, which is unfortunate for them. And Olympique Lyonnais making up the top 3 in the league. As we can see, top goal scorers, quite low numbers, I'll be honest. Cavani finished top of the league with only 17 goals, and Santini finishing second with 15, and Jermaine also equaling him, finishing third with 15 goals. Di Maria finishing as the top average rating player, and Djibril Sidibe and Jemison making up second and third, with Di Maria getting the most assists at 16, which is a good haul, with Verratti getting 11 and Thauvin getting 9. Player of the match is going to a keeper in the French league in Hilton. And yeah, that's all we can see on that. So what we'll do now, guys, is I'm going to go and have a look at our squad. We're going to see how the loan players did who have come back to the club. And we're just going to have a general look at the squad, see who's doing well, and maybe start earmarking positions on the field that we are looking to strengthen in the off-season. Bearing in mind, of course, we do have £182 million to spend right now, which may, of course, be increased by the board. So the first player I wanted to look at, guys, from the loanees that have just come back to the club was Adnan Januz. I am only going to look at 3 because there's only really 3 of the loanees that I have any interest in seeing anything about. As we can see, he did spend the season on loan at Sunderland, and rather disappointingly so, although he did manage to get all the game time, which maybe makes things worse, he did only manage to get 3 goals, 9 assists, but more importantly, a 6.94 average rating. Adnan probably will find a way into the team next season. It's probably not someone I'm looking to sell immediately, maybe depending on if anyone comes in and bids. But yeah, rather disappointing. Second loanee we're going to look at, guys, is James Wilson, who of course was out on loan at Derby. Once again, managed to play 29 games, only managed to score 9 goals, which isn't bad. 1 in 3, I suppose, but in the Championship, you'd like to think he's going to do well anyway. But average rating is 6.71. Unfortunately for James Wilson, he probably will be making his way away from the club. I'll probably look to move him on, which is a shame. Young English striker. I'll maybe come to sort of rue that decision. I did decide this decision quite a while ago. And the last one would be Karum Borthwick-Jackson, who has, of course, just spent a year on loan at Leeds. And I must say I'm quite impressed. It's more maybe he's quite fortunate in the fact that left-back position can be covered by him. He will be getting bled into the first team. He managed to get himself an average rating of over 7 while at Wolves on loan in the Championship. Only 20 years old, so I do think that he's going to be able to come in, play a lot of the games in the left-back position, so he's certainly going to be sticking with the club. So we're just going to have a quick glance over the squad. I have added a few extra attributes onto the general screen here. It's just an end-of-season sort of review screen that I like to use. The things that are most important for me would be average rating. Your rating's going to dictate whether you're going to stay in my club or whether you're going to get your ass booted out the door. And as we can see, we can pretty much guarantee, most of these guys are going to be pretty safe because we had a stonking season. There may be moves away from the club for some of the players who are presumed safe, shall we say, based solely on the strength of they may come to me moaning, whinging, and I don't want the dressing room to get sort of out of whack about it. But there will also be players who come to me moaning who I basically just tell them that they're staying anyway. So the main reason we're here really is not to sit here and praise the people who've done well. It's more to maybe pick out the people who have not done so great and their time at the club will be coming to a swift and short end. So as we can see, guys, realistically, we've only got 3 players who ended under a 7 rating. And for me, 7's that sort of threshold, really. So the first thing we're going to do is go down and review those players. And as we can see, 2 of them are youngsters who we wouldn't expect too much of. And actually, the two youngsters who are down there are ones who I think hold a lot of promise within the club and within this save going forward. So they certainly won't be leaving. And the third one's actually Michael Carrick, who's already retired from the club. But as I say, we're going to maybe look to bring him in as staff. So as I move up the screen here, De Gea with only a 7.19, but he's world class. Dave the Save, he ain't going nowhere. But I would say that Jesse Lingard no longer fits in with the plans. He's currently valued at 26 million quid. And when you consider his stats, we'll take a quick look. Not a bad player. He's got it where it matters, I suppose. His work rate's high, off the ball's great, along with a 14 determination. He's pretty good. His acceleration and pace even at 15. Stamina at 16. He's got it where it matters. But I look around and I look at his technical. I look at other areas of his physical and I look at his mental in general. If you take away the fact that, sort of our dark blues here, our 16s and over, there's not a right lot going on. But along with the fact that he's not really featured that much in the team, with his value, if someone comes knocking on the door, they want to offer decent money, then I'm afraid Jesse Lingard will be leaving the club and we'll move on and look at the other players. Now, my main concern has been maybe with the defence. Now, we've just absolutely monted the league. We've done really well. So I'm not expecting to rip out the defence by its tail and say, you're absolutely shite, get out of there. But towards the latter end of the season, the players were falling off. I mean, we used 29 players to win the Premier League last season. It was on the sort of season review board. We had the highest number of players used because I'm trying to use rotation as much as possible. I had a big squad to be working with while also trying to use a lot of the youngsters and get them used to Premier League football. But 2 players somewhat stood out, and Chris Smalling, who I think will be safe, to be honest, he's done well enough to keep. But there's Phil Jones, who I have somewhat concerns with, back to back, giving away a penalties, and not just that, he hadn't been performing that well anyway. I mean, he's shown a 7.45 rating. Most of the games he won't have had much to do because we were just dominating from the beginning. So I might be looking at. I mean, I've got 182 million pounds to spend. One area I don't want to spend it is the striking area because I think we're good enough. So I'm probably going to be looking to add a midfielder, maybe 2, and I'm certainly looking to add at least 1 centre-back. But because we're not looking to we're not going to try and buy any wonder kids, any youngsters to bring them in or out like that. I'm probably going to buy a lot of regens and stuff to put into the youth squad, maybe the reserve squad, but certainly not to come straight into the first team. We are probably going to be looking for players that fall into the world-class lineup. Because with £182 million, and a squad that I believe is probably good enough to carry on next year and do really well, I don't need to add a load of players. So if I need to just spend a load of money on 1 or 2 players, that's probably what we'll look to do. So on that, guys, that was just a little season review, just something I wanted to do so that we could look back, look at the weaknesses, but also because we weren't involved in particular competitions, in particular maybe Europe, the Champions League, really, I wanted to show you guys what had actually happened in that and have a quick look at the leagues across Europe to see how well other teams had done as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. I know there's no live com, so we don't have any of the excitement possibilities, as it were, from when we're playing a game. But I think it was just a nice chilled way to end the season, give you guys a look at the team, give you a chance in the comment section maybe to put some suggestions in for signings. But above all, if you have liked it, do hit the like button. It helps the channel out tremendously. You know, it's not always, I mean, the easiest thing in the world is to just go down and click it, you know, and it takes all of a second. So if you could, if you enjoyed it, that is, hit the like button. If you've not subscribed and you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. Of course, check out the channel if you've missed any of the series. It's all sat there in a playlist. Just hit play one day and jobs are good. But yeah, on that note, guys, I'm looking forward to season 2. I'm hoping you are too, and I look forward to seeing you there. So I'll catch you later. See you in a bit.